DICE have recently confirmed that the big update that will apparently fix some of the more pressing issues within Battlefield 5 has been pushed back until the end of July. That's a bit of a disappointment and probably not what you all wanted to hear. Why though? Well, I'm told the team needs a bit more time to get this one out and to a workable state, and considering the past few patches have broken far more than they've fixed, taking a little extra time to process some quality control is no bad thing. Read into it what you will, but in my opinion, this proves that DICE have not allocated the necessary resources to deal with the problem child that is Battlefield 5, and unless this changes, hopefully within the next patch or two, things probably won't improve too much within the foreseeable future for Battlefield 5. I have been covering the ups and downs of Battlefield 5 in regards to the patches quite closely, even more so over recent weeks for obvious reasons, and in this video I'm going to give my top picks for things that DICE need to focus on and fix. Whilst some players will say that some bugs aren't really game breaking and that we should just stop complaining and get on with things, and yes, there are many people that think Battlefield 5 is in a completely fine, acceptable state at this point, I'm more of the opinion that this is a game I paid 60 quid for and I expect it to be fixed. DICE are more than capable, and whilst they have a track record of releasing broken games or breaking games halfway through, they also do have a track record of fixing them. It's about time we got to the part in the life of Battlefield 5 where it gets fixed. So focusing on some of the things that I think are game breaking and need to be fixed in the next update. Firstly, and you guys will probably agree with me on this for the most part, performance. It's arguably my biggest gripe with the game currently. Before the recent patches my performance was acceptable and I focused my attention to other things that I thought needed to be fixed in the game, and we'll get onto those later, but performance in an FPS game, especially on PC, has taken some significant hits. I can't speak for console, but I know that some players have been experiencing some poor performance. Xbox obviously couldn't even get on the game for a little while until DICE fixed that. Performance is a major problem and it needs to be sorted out. Now I'm not just talking about stuttering, which we'll get onto in a second. I'm talking about general poor performance, low FPS. People with high-end rigs can't get over a certain amount of FPS when before they could probably get double. I feel as if this is a major sticking point because FPS games, especially ones where you're trying to get better and trying to get the best score you can a lot of the time, or even just enjoy the game on a really expensive PC, if you can't get past 60 to 80 FPS then something's clearly wrong, considering it's a AAA game and considering you were able to get more than that before the recent updates. DICE need to go back to the drawing board with this and make sure that they fix the performance issues before focusing on other things. Another game-breaking bug that I think has to be sorted is definitely the hit reg and general server performance. It's absolutely appalling. Several times I've shot people, not got a single hit. Covered it in recent videos as well with actual gameplay of this happening. I usually don't record it because I'm too angry or frustrated to even bother, but hit reg is a real issue. I've got clips and seen clips on Reddit and YouTube and Twitter where people have been shooting enemies with a sniper rifle in the face and it doesn't count for a thing. And then maybe they'll just get taken out the first time they get shot in one frame by a Sten gun at 100 meters, which doesn't one frame you, but the game seems to think that it does. It's pretty crazy. It was like this at the start of the game. In fact, I'd argue that it's potentially worse at this point. It needs to be sorted. Next up, invisible players. They need to go. I've got no time for any of this invisible player rubbish. It's really poor to have that in a game, and it's not just the odd player, it's loads of players. It's client side, so you see them, other people don't, which means that you're really on your own with it. Even if it was server side, it's still a pain. It needs to be sorted. I don't think it's linked to any cosmetics in particular, it just needs to be sorted out. This is definitely game breaking. Invisible players in an FPS game is game breaking. That is what a game breaking bug is, in my opinion, especially in regards to an FPS. It has to be sorted and DICE are focusing on it, so hopefully this will be done by the next update. Next up, it's linked into the performance issues, the assignment stutters. Now we had these back in Battlefield 1 when the Apocalypse DLC came out over Christmas time, and then DICE did fix that. In Battlefield 5 though, you can only activate 4 assignments, and the reason they've done this, as far as I'm aware, is to try and limit the amount of performance issues within the game because the assignments have to be tracked. In previous Battlefield games, you could track everything at once. In BF4, the game would track everything, all of your weapon stats, all of your little updates and upgrades and assignments and everything to get the new weapons and new gadgets and new attachments. In BF5, you cannot do that. It's a little bit broken, and even with only 4 assignments, they still bug out and stutter. The worst are where you have like a 900 damage with a weapon or 1000 damage with a weapon. So you'll be using that weapon, and every time it updates it will stutter, so essentially every time you shoot it'll stutter. Some people have it worse than that, other people don't really experience it much, but it's definitely a game-breaking problem that needs to be fixed. Moving on, we have most people's pet hate in Battlefield, and especially Battlefield 5. It's cheaters. I've covered this in some depth, but the cheating issue is a complete joke, and many other content creators have recently been showcasing some cheater footage of players, and Nickerman is one of the guys who you may watch. He's a Battlefield YouTuber worth checking out. He actually interviewed a cheater that he met in game, and the cheater was essentially saying that it's a couple of quid to pick up a new account and you rarely get banned. You can cheat all you want in Battlefield 5, it's really easy, and you see loads of people doing it, and I see it all the time. Some people say they don't see cheaters or don't notice them. Other people often call out players who aren't cheaters. I see that a lot as well, but really, if you're seeing somebody go 100 for 0 aimbotting around a map, and everyone's calling them a cheater, then they're a cheater. And I see a lot of this, and I've even included a bit of footage of another cheater that I saw recently as well. It needs fixing. Whether DICE reevaluate their anti-cheat system, I don't really know what they're planning to do, but a simple fix for this would be to bump forward the rental server program so we can all get private servers and then ban cheaters that way. It would be nice. Will it be bumped forward? Probably not. I would expect the private servers to be knocked back, if anything, considering the state of the game, but the sooner we get them, the more of these problems will be ironed out. Next up, some general bugs that I hope get fixed. I wouldn't class them as strictly game-breaking, but certainly annoying, and many have been in the game since release, so it just shows that DICE have not been dealing with things in a timely manner. We're 8 months after release, far further from where we first saw the alpha and the beta where many of these bugs originated, so it's a shame that that is still in the game. Starting out, as you can see in the background, resupply crates drop through the floor still on Twisted Steel, a little bit odd considering this was supposed to be fixed. Spawning on teammates is bugged. The fact you have this little zoom in animation, BF1 and BF5 have it, makes the problem even worse, but players spawn in on teammates all the time. They spawn in on beacons that have been destroyed. It's just annoying, and it's probably something to do with the bad performance of the servers. Third-person animations are broken, and Drunksy mentioned on Twitter that the reason for this is when somebody's doing a third-person animation, for example, going from standing to prone, if they're not in your field of view when they start that animation, and then you turn to face them, the game still plays that animation, even if they have finished doing it, which is often why you get shot whilst somebody is doing an animation, or you see someone throwing a grenade when in fact the grenade has already been thrown. It's just a lag desync sort of problem, and it needs to be sorted. Smoke doesn't always render in for me. I've said in several gameplays with friends, there's smoke over there, and they've said no there isn't, or I've said I'm in smoke, come revive me, and they're like, you're not in smoke, there's no smoke at all. Whether it's client side or a server side issue, I don't know, but it's really annoying. Now, I've been through some of the game-breaking bugs that I think need to be fixed, and then some of the bugs that I also want fixing as well, just the general gameplay bugs. Now, I'm not even getting into the fundamental problems with Battlefield 5 as a game. At the minute, we're scratching the surface trying to get it to a playable state. If we had Battlefield in a playable state, I could then go on to complain about so many other things that are wrong with this game, not only in regards to the gameplay and the fact that I think a lot of it is fundamentally broken, the foundations are not in the right place for this game, but also the lack of content, the fact cosmetics are only purchasable by Boynes, they're incredibly expensive, deluxe owners have been left in the dark, although that may change soon, not really too sure. You've got modes that disappear, modes that aren't being updated, even things like tanks and resupply stations on Breakthrough and on ground operations. The resupply stations need to be in reachable distances for the tanks, but on half of the maps and half of the sections of the maps, they're in the dead zone, so you can't actually access them as a tank. DICE have been made aware of this for months and months and haven't fixed it. And so many people who play in tanks are frustrated by this problem. That is just one of many issues, and it proves that DICE either don't care about this stuff, so it's just not on their radar and they don't care about it, or they just can't deal with it because there's so many other issues in the game and they have to give priority to those. Are they giving priority to the cosmetics and the elite soldiers? Well, I think they're different teams that work on these issues, but it doesn't surprise me that the cosmetic side of the game is coming out virtually flawless, and when there is an issue, it gets patched within a couple of days, whilst the actual base of the game, the stuff that technically isn't earning them money straight off the microtransactions, takes weeks and weeks and weeks to even be acknowledged before being fixed. I'm constantly seeing people like Jeff Braddock and Freeman, great community people, great community managers, ask people to link them these bugs. If you log into Battlefield 5 today, either of those two or any of the devs, play a game of Conquest, and they know this because I'm sure they do it, you can see all the bugs yourself. They're there for everybody to see. They're not hidden, they're not rare, the bugs are all over the place, and it's getting to a point where you get quite frustrated that the devs continuously ask, where are these bugs, send me an example, because they're so common, and then they don't even get fixed in the next patch. Now, I don't know if you can tell by my tone, but I am kind of annoyed by it, and I'm not particularly taking fire or taking aim at any dev in particular or any of the people at DICE. It's just as a whole, I think we could all do better, and I think if we could get this Battlefield 5 game to a playable state, it would really do a lot of good, not only for the people that play it like myself and you guys watching, but for the next game, because some people put BF5 down straight away and are waiting on the next game. If you look at Battlefield 5 and realise in 3-4 months that it's still not improved, you're going to think, well, the next game's going to be a state as well, so why will I bother? I'm not going to pre-order, which I don't suggest you do anyway. I'm not going to buy it on release, and let's say the game doesn't release in the best way, I'm not going to buy it anyway, and that's where you see franchises slowly drop off a cliff, and then it's impossible to come back, or in order to come back, you have to do something really radical and potentially release an absolutely blindingly good game, which these days is very, very difficult to do. It's so difficult to get a hit game, something like Fortnite or PUBG, to come out that just takes the gaming world by storm. I can't see a Battlefield game doing that, so they really rely on the good faith of the community to underpin whatever project they're creating. So it's a bit of a rant, this video, I suppose, a bit of a conversation about what I think needs to be fixed in Battlefield. Leave your comments down below, and I know you guys always do, even on my community posts where I think I posted a gif of the new Norman Kingsley Elite skin, and I asked you to rate it out of 10 and what you thought of it, and everyone was leaving quite funny comments saying, why would I buy a skin if they can't even fix their game, and stuff along those lines. I find it quite entertaining, and despite my stance as a Battlefield game changer, I am very much on the side of the community, trying to get this state of a game fixed so we can enjoy it and get back to some of the good old Battlefield videos that we've seen in the past, where you get on, you play a game of Battlefield, and you leave the end of the play session smiling instead of being frustrated by the stupid selection of bugs that are on offer. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.